I'm Jamesia Simpson.
Hi, I'm Kennedy Andrews.
And my name is Destiny Glenn, and we're with YLAG, Young Ladies Inspiring Greatness, and we're working in the community in hopes to make a difference. Today, we're with former Mayor Rhine McLin. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Well, thank you very much. It's such a pleasure to be here with you young ladies and having all of this energy that you're showing me. I'm Rhine McLin, and I'm a native Daytonian and a product of the Dayton Public Schools and a proud graduate of Dunbar High School. I am a lifelong learner and community person. And I want to start off and just say thank you to the YLAG girls because you went on what I call an urban gym walk with me. And we walked through the community a little longer than you had anticipated. However, one of the things that we did come across, which is still in progress, is that a little house, it was a book house in front of McKinley United Methodist Church. And so what we had done was that instead of having books on all the shelves, there were 3 shelves. We took the top shelf and left it for books, and we took the bottom shelves and put food in it so people could get it with dignity. Dayton has 33% poverty, and so therefore there are people who need food, and they don't have to give up their dignity to get it from the little house. And you all took care of it for me in November, and I just want to say thank you. That meant a lot for you all to do that.
You're welcome.
You're
You're
welcome.
welcome.
You know, that's those community things that's what you all have done, and that's what you continue to do, to be active in the community. And it's so important that as we move forward in our lives, that we always reach back and never forget from whence we come. And so you got to give a little, even though no matter how much you achieve. And when I'm talking about achievement, I'm going to talk to you just briefly about some historic women from the Dayton area. One of them was Geraldine Blunden. Have you ever heard the name Geraldine Blunden?
No.
Geraldine Blunden is the founder of the Dayton Contemporary Dance Company. DC?
Oh, I heard of
Okay,
that.
she's the founder. Geraldine Blunden was the founder. Then you have Irma Bombach. You ever heard of Irma Bombach?
No.
Okay, she's a writer, famous writer here in Dayton. There's the Irma Bombach Highway, but she wrote a book, Life is a Bowl of Cherries, Why Am I in the Pits? So, Charity Early. Charity Early was a very community active person, and she was one of the first. She wrote a book called One Woman's Army, African American woman. And down at Sinclair, you may see the Charity Early Auditorium. That's named after her. And then you have like Leela Francis. Have anybody ever heard of Leela Francis? Oh, she's a phenomenal woman. She was like our own little Rosa Parks here in the Dayton, Ohio area. She was doing sit-ins. She was one of the first black women in the state of Ohio to get a real estate license as well as a broker's license. And so she owned a lot of property. And at the time, it was hard for folks to get money to buy. And so she would go down to Tennessee and other places to try to get money from black banks and things to help people that were here. Sarah Harris. Sarah Harris was the first black woman elected countywide to the county treasurer's office. And then you have Minnie Fales Johnson. Minnie Fales Johnson was the first African American woman to lead the Regional Transit Authority. The head of the RTA, the bus system, was a black woman. She was the first black woman. Valerie Lemmy. Valerie Lemmy was the first black woman to be a city manager for the Dayton, Ohio. So the other person that we talk about was Alice McCullum. She just recently retired. Alice McCullum was the first African American woman to be a Montgomery County probate court judge. So we have, and then Jerry McGill. Jerry McGill was the first black woman to be a school superintendent in the Dayton public school system. So I just want to let you ladies know there's a lot of firsts, there's a lot of history. We stand on the shoulders of so many folks. I mean, even down to Louise Troy. Louise Troy was the first black school teacher in Dayton, Ohio. That's why the school is named Louise Troy. And Jessie Hathcock. Jessie Hathcock was the first black woman to graduate from the University of Dayton, and they just named a building after her. And she taught at Dunbar High School. So, and we also gotta throw in Paul Lawrence Dunbar. You know, you cannot be from Dayton, Ohio, and not plug in Paul Lawrence Dunbar. Even though we talk about women, we have to still bring in Paul. And you also got to realize Lucinda Adams. Have you ever heard of Lucinda Adams? Well, Lucinda Adams was from this area. She was an Olympic star. She got an Olympic medal from the Dayton area. So, ladies, what I'm saying to you is that I just wanted to run all that down to you, is that there are so many wonderful things out there. But you never forget where you come from. That's the moral, what I want you to know. Of all the things we talk about, we stand on all of these ladies' shoulders, and those I've never mentioned that may not have names, Sheroes, that have paved the way for us to be where we are today. And each one of you ladies has a duty to carry the legacy forward. I'm done with that part of my speech.
I can start off. How does it feel making history being Dayton's first black female mayor?
How does it feel to be making history? Let me just tell you about it. For black women need a special escalator when we go to heaven, because it's hard. It's hard being a black female. Now, not only was the first black female and the first female who happened to be black to be the mayor of Dayton, I was also the first black woman to be a state senator here in Ohio. I was also the first black woman to even be the minority leader in the Senate, first woman, then minority. Then I was also the first woman to be the chair of the Ohio Democratic Party. So, first, at the end of the day, you're first to be last, because everybody else done it before you got there. So it's not a moment of celebration, but it just means that you got to do the job so well that the ones that are following behind you will have an easier way to go. That's the importance of it.
What are some important things to know about women in history?
You really want to know what's important about women in history? Well, I can go on my second part and talk about women in history. I can go to the point like sometimes when you're thinking you're having a hard time, and my life hasn't been no crystal stairs. So I think about people like Harriet Tubman. Mm-hmm. Harriet Tubman is one of my Sheroes. You know, you think about it. She got beat in the head by a slave master to the point that Harriet Tubman had seizures. But to think about it, this woman she freed 300 slaves. Once she freed herself, she could have been done. But she kept going back and getting more. And so you think about traveling that route, dogs after you, going for freedom. Don't look back. They may be catching up with you. You got to keep going. The point is, she did that. Would any of us have the courage to do that today? We're too inconvenienced. And that's why it's so important when I talk about legacy and I talk about giving back and caring about others. It's important because it wasn't for the Harriet Tubmans. Can you imagine what Shirley Chisholm felt like? She was the first black woman to be in the Congress the first black woman. All those folks there. She's the only one. She can't even look around the room for a tag up. She hit, unless she pull out her mirror. So and you can imagine how they treated her. But she ran for president of the United States. So each one of those women, there's so many to mention, but the final one you're going to talk about is our vice president. What's her name?
Camilla Harris.
Oh, don't say it with a question mark. Just say it firmly. Yes, here it is. 2022. 2022. And she's fighting for her respect every single day. Every single day. And if you can remember, who was the first African American president?
Barack Obama.
Oh, Lord. Okay. We're getting there. Can you imagine what he went through being there? On how people treat you? The disrespect, but still staying focused to get the job done for others. So when we talk about history, we're talking about history not easy. But you can't forget your history. And that's why it's important to have intergenerational relationships where you hear the stories and tell the stories and you can pass the stories along. So women's history is extremely important because I always used to think sometimes that when I was in the legislature, I said if all the women stayed home for a day, nothing would get done. I mean, the power of women. And so, you got to think about your role and make it work. And my advice I always give is this. Do your job so well that when you're gone, you're missed. Leave an impression. And integrity is doing the job when nobody's watching. You've seen those only work when you're watching. Integrity is doing the job when nobody's watching.
Okay, next question. What encouraged you to be the first black mayor of Dayton?
I was a state senator. My grandfather ran for city commission. And at the time that he ran, when we lived at a funeral home on Germantown and Krug, they threw acid on the sidewalks. They put a newspaper out that showed a black hand going over the city. They called him a communist. They did everything they could. But he ran, but he didn't win. My father, because of my grandfather's activism, my father ran and became a state representative and one of the most powerful black men in the state of Ohio. But because of that groundwork, when the opportunity came for me to run for mayor, it was to vindicate my grandfather. That we care and that we can make a difference. That's why legacy is so important, and that's why standing on the shoulders of others who have paved the way is extremely important.
How does it feel working, I wouldn't say it's a man's job, but in today's world, they would necessarily say being, a mayor, you would really be a man. So how does it feel being a job and being a woman?
Oh, it was really difficult. And one time I had someone come in my office and I had a male aide. And the gentleman talked to the male aide the whole time. And when he finished talking, he asked the male aide, he said, well, what do you think about that? As mayor, what do you think about that? And he said, I don't know. There's the mayor. So those are the kind of things that, you know, you had happen because as a woman, they just don't see you in leadership roles like that. That was one of the, but it was very difficult because every day as the mayor, I had to start over again, commanding my respect. I never had a luxury of saying, okay, here I am, let's go with it. Every day you were being pushed and challenged on every end about from how you looked to how you talked to what you said, what you did. I mean, you were constantly under a microscope. There was a big difference from being in the legislature, because in the legislature, I consider that being like the turtle job. And the turtle job, because, and I call it the turtle job because, you know, there's 99 state reps, there's 33 state senators. So you can poke your head out on the issues you care about, then you go back on in your shell because somebody else is going to poke their head out for something else. So I call it the turtle job. But when you become mayor, you know, you got a neck brace on. You can't get back in that shell. You just stuck out there. You just stuck out there. And you got to, you know, you got to do it with dignity.
Did you get a lot of support for when you were running for mayor?
I did. I got a lot of support from when I was running for mayor the first time. And it's because the people wanted someone that they believed cared about them. And I cared about people. And I think that that's the constituency. If you take care of the constituency, most of the time they'll take care of you. And I want to go back to something I said earlier. You know, people aren't really paying attention to Dayton having 33% poverty. That's serious. It's only the population. Dayton at one time had over 200,000 people. Now it's down to 137,000, and 33% of that people are living in poverty. So there's a need out there that needs to be addressed. Housing, hunger, health care. Montgomery County is one of the highest in the nation, in the state for infant mortality. And among blacks, women. So these are crucial issues. I mean, can our children read? Are we being able to tutor them? Do they have access to the computers at home to do remote learning? These are the kind of things that are passionate, but when you have a community that has 33% poverty, that's a lot of help needs to be out there. So, you know, we can look at all the condos and stuff downtown. Mm-hmm. But when you walk into the urban gym and then you go into the hood, you see the abandoned houses. Mm-hmm. You see the homelessness. And those issues are real. And that's where YLAG comes in as young folks in doing the community. We can't solve all the problems at once, but we just take one and say, if I can make a difference with that, it'll make a difference. Mm-hmm. Mm. You know, because if you look at the whole thing, you're going to go like, oh, I can't do this. But you find your little niche, and you make a difference. But you never forget where you come from. Always give back. I don't care how high you get. Always give back to your community. Somebody gave it for you.
Did anyone doubt you because of your identity?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I doubt myself. You know, but I'm going to tell you, my faith, that I believe that if I did all the right things, and when you're talking about politics and you're talking about life, these are the three things that are most important. One, you need to have a spirituality. You need to be connected to a higher up. Number two, opportunity. You got to be able to know that opportunity, because opportunity never comes on a clear day. It comes on a cloudy day. So that's why you got to have discernment and a connection with God to be able to know that that is your opportunity. And the third one is common sense. Just plain old common sense. When those three things come together, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. So even though those folks who doubted whether I was going to make it or not, we never had a woman, she's this, she's that. You know how ladies do you. And then you got the other group going, she's this, she that. But all I did was stay prayerfully focused and said, Lord, if it's meant to be, it's going to be. And what God has for you, can't nobody take away from you. And it happened. So no matter what they say about me, I am the first woman mayor of Dayton, Ohio. They can't take that away from me.
Okay, so do you have any questions for us?
Oh, I want to just find out what are y'all going to do to help make a difference.
Me? Well, in my future, I plan on working in the community as an adult. I have ideas of creating homeless shelters for young adults such as our ages. I want to give back to the community once I get where I need to be. So I want to get where I need to be so I can give back and give to the need. So that's what I plan on doing for our community.
So what is that career plan that is to give back?
So my career plan right now, I want to be a DA and an RN, but I want to...
A district attorney?
No, a DA, like a dental assistant.
Oh, okay.
And registered
a
nurse.
DA,
So, yeah.
It could be district attorney.
Yeah.
And so that's why I had to ask, because I'm saying, district attorney and an RN, I think that's a nurse.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like, okay, how's she doing this? That sounds like you got a plan. And you need to have a plan A and always have a plan B.
Oh, a way I plan to give back to the community is I one day want to open up my own swimming clinic. And my career path, I want to be a pediatric surgeon. So yeah, it really don't match up, but
Well,
that's what I wanna be.
no. When we're thinking about the swimming clinic is extremely important because so many young African Americans, and not alone the older African Americans, don't swim. Don't swim, and we're always in danger of losing our lives, like on boats and things like that. I like kayaking and whitewater rafting, but most of the folks that I go with don't look like me because we scared of water. And so that swimming clinic, that's just basic. Did you know that the Linden Center is closed now in Dayton, was the first recreational center in the city of Dayton for African Americans? Just like they have a Northwest, and at that time, well, the one for the colors was the Linden Center. But that sounds like, the swimming clinic. You like swimming?
Yeah.
Okay.
I plan on having like a program for children that have trouble like catching up to everyone else, if that makes sense.
IP.
Yeah. And have like a program for them to like have them go at their own pace and learn like basic necessities for like school stuff and help them towards the jobs that they want to do. In my career path, I wanted to be a surgical technician or a travel nurse.
Travel nurse.
Yes. We're on the same
The
path.
travel nurses.
We're on the same path.
Yeah, I hear you on that. On the IPs for our young people, even when we talk about the third grade guarantee, that's challenging for kids that aren't prepared to even be in kindergarten or first grade. So by the time you get to the third grade, you still don't have all the skills.
Yeah.
And you're just going to get further and further behind. So I really firmly believe that our classes should be smaller, so that because our kids' needs are greater. And so that you need more attention to be given to the kids to be able to get them to acclimate, to be acclimated to even to a classroom in learning. And because our kids come to school with so many challenges. So I just think that what I'm listening to you ladies, I'm just proud to hear that you got a mission, you got a plan, and that's half the battle. You got to have a plan. And the plan's going to change as you go along. They always do. I started off as I wanted to be a child psychologist with no children. Well, I accomplished the second part. I had no children, but I never became the child psychologist. I ended up in everything else but that. So, but you have to have a goal to at least know, to give you an idea of a direction to go. You can always detour. And then some of the things that I've done in my life and my career is that they've been really rewarding.
Well, we thank you for coming, and we thank you for having you here with us.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciated the opportunity to
Would you
share
like
with
to
you.
promote the book?
And I have left you a book called Dad I Served, written by my father. It started off as an autobiography as told, but he died before the book was done, so other people contributed to it so we could finish the book. And I wrote a chapter, and it's called Gems of Wisdom that my dad gave me. So you'll find that to be quite inspiring.
Well, thank you for sharing
Thank
your book
you.
with us, too. We really appreciate you coming
Yes.
here and acknowledging, giving us knowledge today. So thank you so much for your
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you.